Senior Systems Engineer at Walt Disney Animation Studios. And Matt asked me to talk about getting started with Munki. And there's already been a lot of talk of Munki today, so if you've had enough Munki business for the day, I don't blame you. But we're going to walk through basically what Munki is and how you might set up a little demo setup for yourself to play with it for the very first time and decide whether it was something you might want to investigate a bit further. So what the heck is Munki? It's just an open set of tools that you can use to help manage software installs and removals on OS X. You can find it on GitHub. It's being used all over the world to manage hundreds of thousands of Macs in organizations small and huge. There's a couple really huge ones there. Its needs are pretty modest. You can run a Munki server basically on any piece of hardware, any OS, and it runs on pretty much every Mac that's been shipped in the last 10 years or so. It can install quite a wide array of software. It can also remove much of that, not Apple updates, but most other software it can remove. And very recently we added the feature that it can manage configuration profiles. It can install them, make sure they're there, remove them if you need them to. That's new. So Munki's approach to how it manages things can be compared to kind of a buzzword you may have heard called desired state management. And that's where you describe what you want the state of the machine to be, and then Munki figures out what it needs to do to get it to that state. So you say, I want Firefox installed, I want the latest version of Flash installed, I want the latest version of Office on this machine, and I absolutely do not want Photoshop on this machine. Munki will figure that out. And if the user that might have admin rights, if they make a change to it, Munki can change it back. It also has the idea that most likely you want the latest version of software on machines, that you went to the effort of finding this latest version of software and put it in your Munki repo for a reason, and that's because you want it on the machines. So it ensures by default that that latest version is on. So if the vendor or your internal developer comes up with a new version of the software, in order to get it on all your machines, you do exactly one thing. You import it into your Munki repo. You don't have to do any additional work, basically one step. That really makes keeping software up to date on your machines very, very easy with Munki. Because you might be thinking, just because this new version of the software came out, I don't necessarily want immediately to get it on all the thousands of machines I manage because I don't trust the vendor, I don't trust the developer. We've had problems with their updates in the past. So I'd like to be able to maybe go through a testing workflow where I get this out to a few machines first, see how it goes, and then eventually release it to everyone. Well, Munki supports that functionality out of the box. And that is the key reason we have something called cablogs in Munki. And you can think of those as tracks. So let's say you have this piece of software that your amazing internal developers have written called Whiz-Bang 1.0, and it's in use by all the machines in your fleet. And then they come to you and say, hey, we now have Whiz-Bang 2.0, can you get that out to everybody? But you're a little bit cautious, and you say, we've been burned in the past, so I want to make sure that I roll it out in kind of a safe way. So what I do first when I import Whiz-Bang 2.0 is I import it into a development catalog. And only a few machines are configured to look for that development catalog. So only these few machines get it. And so either you've got a formal testing process where these people actually know they're getting the new software and they're going to give you feedback, or you use the scream test, which is you push it out. Good, nobody screamed, so we move on. So that maybe a week's gone by, you haven't heard any screaming. So you then move the package into a testing catalog. And that goes out to a wider range of machines. If that goes well, no pitchforks, no burning torches, maybe then you can move it into your production catalog, which then makes sure that everybody in your organization gets that new piece of software. And so you can follow that workflow for any new piece of software so that you have a kind of a sane way of rolling it out without too much risk. You have several options for how you can make software available to people. You can tell Munki to install it silently. Just install it. Don't bother the user. Just do it in the background. Get it done. You can have the user be notified about new things And then they can say, well, I don't want to install it now. I have to wait until later. Or you can make it completely self-service where the user is in complete control, not only when they install it, but if they install it at all. Munki server. There is no such thing as a Munki server. It's just a web server. It just serves a bunch of files out of a file system. It can run on any web server. Anybody remember that one up there? And it's just serving out flat files,plists, packages, disk images, icons, things like that. So if you have a web server in your organization, you have a Munki server in your organization. So let's look at what the user sees if you use Munki. So the main end user facing thing is this. This is called Managed Software Center. Yes, it looks a lot like the Apple Mac App Store, and that's intentional. Because we want people to kind of immediately, when they look at it, understand what it is, how to use it, what it's for. So they can get additional detail on applications that they want to install, including lovely screenshots. Go see that movie next year when it comes out. Updates are presented in sort of an appealing way, again, that matches what the App Store does. And because of this, there's also, it supports a sort of a discovery mechanism. Users can look around, they see categories, and the categories might lead them to other pieces of software. If they drill down on a category, they can see all of the pieces of software you've put in that category. So maybe they were interested in Skype, but they go, oh yeah, you also have Link. I'll check that one out too. And then maybe next year Microsoft will come out with yet another communications program that I can put in that list. And also users can search. They can type something up in the bar up there, and anything that kind of matches that keyword they can find. So it really encourages users being able to find things for themselves. The product detail also has a sidebar listing, again, patterned after the App Store, that again encourages the user to find additional applications that might meet their needs. And yet you can do more. You can customize what the users see. There's certain parts that are really easy to customize. The banners up here, the sidebar, you can put additional things in, and some links down at the bottom. Here's a custom banner. And a lot of organizations want to do this to sort of brand the application to their organization, to kind of reassure the user that, yep, this is a legitimate program that we endorse, and not some piece of malware that snuck on your system that gets you to install something nefarious. So that was the quick overview. I'd like to go through a basic setup, and this is going to be a live demo. Chances that it will go off the rails slightly a few times, we'll see. So let's see if everything's in the right place, kind of, sort of. Yeah, that'll work. All right, so this is going to be a largely command line setup, and then we'll see what the user will see. There are GUI tools for use with Munki, and so if you're not a command line type person, there are things you can do to use a web interface or a Cocoa app, but today we're going to stick mostly with the command line. Is that large enough? Can people see what's going on there? Bigger, 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 always bigger. All right. This is fun trying to drive this screen from here. We'll see how it goes. Right. All right. So, like I said, a Munki server or a Munki repo is really just a set of files on a file system. So we're going to create a place to put some files. This is so hard to do this way. I could mirror it, but then you'd see my cheat sheets here. So we just created a directory. I'm going to change into that directory. And I'm going to create some subfolders in there. So there's a cablogs and a manifests folder and a packages folder and a packages info folder. Did I typo? No, it looks pretty good. All right. Let's go back out one. And then we're going to make sure this step probably isn't strictly needed in most cases, but I just want to be absolutely sure that everything can be read by all users right now. So we know that's readable. So we've got the file system. We now need to, we're going to serve this up through a web server. And OS X has a built-in web server, Apache. And on OS X client, at least, the default location where Apache looks for files to serve is in library web, what is it? Library web server documents. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually just symlink this directory that we created into library. There we go. Web server documents. Okay. And we need to start the web server, which is not on by default and no longer has a GUI for turning it on like it once did. So we'll just use the Apache control, not stat, Apache control command. We start it. So let's see what we got here. Let's look at localhost. Is it loca? Oh, okay. We'll fix that. Local host Munki enable. Any bets what's going to happen? Nothing, because by default, directory listings are turned off, so there's nothing to show, and it says, no, you can't do this. So we need to put some sort of file in there that we can look at. So let's do this. Where am I lost here? So the world's most boring web page. And then let's try this again. What do we see? Oh, we still didn't do it right. What the heck? Or did we open it? Another one. All right. Now see, there's where the demo gods are starting to get mad at me. Should have done it. So what did I do wrong? Let's find out. Yeah, it's readable by everybody. Does anybody see what's wrong there? It's a symlink. Symlinks are very literal. It's just symlink to itself. It doesn't know that what I need is this, right? It's got to say user shared Munki repo, right? I was lazy. And now if we do this, that's better. And so now if we go look at that website again, oh look, it works. All right. All of that for that's just lame. All right. So we have a completely empty Munki repo set up, but it's there. So the next thing we would do would be to install the Munki tools. And we're not going to do that because that requires a reboot. I already did that. So you'll just have to trust me that that's not too ugly. It does work. But we're going to skip that step. So the next thing we need to do is configure the tools so that we can start importing some stuff into our Munki repo. So we start by just running a tool, Munki import, configure. Asked us for the path to the Munki repo. That was users, shared, not that way, shared. All right, here's what we do. we copy and paste. We're not, in production you would, and as Nick showed, probably this repo would actually be on some other server that we would share via AFP or SMB. And so this is asking us for what's the URL to that server. We're actually running this on the local machine, so I'm skipping that step. And we're going to name ourplists with this boring extension. And let's go ahead and use TextMate as our editor. And let's put all new packages into the testing catalog. So that's the setup. Let's import something. So again, we're going to use the Munki import command. And I've pre-downloaded, because I never trust conference Wi-Fi. We're going to import Firefox. So Munki import opens up the disk image, takes a look in there and says, oh, there's an application in there named Firefox. That's probably what you want. And we'll give it a little fancier display name and a description. Okay. I detected the version. We're going to put this, these are all arbitrary. I'm going to say this is the internet category, and the developer is Mozilla. And this is all stuff that would appear in Managed Software Center to categorize things. And since we told it before we want our default catalog to be testing, it suggests that. Should we import it? Please do. Where do we want to import it? I could just say nothing and it would import at the top level. I want to do some little bit more organization. So I'm going to create a subfolder, apps, Mozilla. It tells me that doesn't exist yet. Do I want to create it? Yeah, go ahead. It doesn't see an icon in our repo for that. Do you want to create one for it? Sure. So it looks inside that disk image. It finds something to use as an icon. Firefox PNG, copies the disk image up, and then finally asks us, do we want to rebuild the catalogs? And somehow the other thing that it does that you can't see because it did it on the other screen is it opened up the package info in my text editor in case I want to make any additional changes, but I don't. So yeah, rebuild catalogs. All right. That was importing a package. Just for fun, let's do it again. But let's do a different exciting internet browser. Chrome. Put this one in internet as well. Developer Google. Yep. Yes, please. Apps Google this time. Yes, please. Yes, let's create an icon. Yes, let's rebuild the catalogs. All right. So what just happened? Yeah, really what just happened? Somewhere, boy, isn't this fun? I said no. All right, over here somewhere. There we go. Actually, let's do it this way. Let's open this folder that we're working. Not open. And it didn't do it. All right, that's fine. Shared Munki repo. So we've created a bunch of stuff here. Those are the icons it imported. If we look inside packages here, there's apps, Google, So basically, Munki import just did some fancy copying for us, but it pulled out some additional information. Let's view this way instead. Oh, let's go back further. There we go. Doing the wrong thing. There we go. And there's also these package info files, which are metadata about what we've imported. You know, it's stuff that is displayed in the user interface as far as name and description. You know, there's our little description there. Oh, that's right. You can't command plus a quick preview. Anyway. So we've just basically imported a few things into the file system. And if we go back to our web browser, we could actually look at some of that, like catalogs. You know, it's those same files are available via a web browser. So we've imported a few things. Now, the way a client knows what it's supposed to do in terms of what's supposed to be installed on it, what's supposed to not be installed on it, that sort of thing, is there's another file on the Munki server called a manifest. So we're going to create a default manifest. And, again, this is fun doing it sideways. All right. We're going to use, for the second time today, or maybe it's the third, manifest util. And if we do list manifests, there's nothing. So let's create a new manifest. And we're going to call it site default. That's a special name that the clients will use if there's no other manifests that it can find. So it falls back to that. So we're going to be lazy and use it. Let's add Firefox to that manifest. And this is where, see, Nick stumbled over this, and this would have saved us. It also warns us that there's no catalog in there. So we also need to add a catalog. And since we put everything so far in the testing catalog, let's add catalog testing to manifest site default. And let's go ahead and also add Chrome at this point. And we can look at what we did. So manifest is really, once you take away all the plist formatting and stuff, it's really just a very simple list. It says, for this client, use the catalog testing, and Firefox and Chrome are the managed installs for the client. So we're done with manifest util for right now. And now we can run. Nope, I almost jumped ahead. I did this when I was practicing this the other day. Very crucial step here. One more thing is we need to tell the client where to find the Munki repo. We're going to do that with a defaults command. And we're simply setting the software repo URL to localhost Munki repo. Obviously, in production, it would be some external server. Okay. So now we can run manage software update from the command line. Now, if we did nothing at all and we waited long enough, this would happen automatically in the background. But we don't want to wait around, so we're going to do it now. And it goes out and it talks to the Munki server. It finds a manifest. It downloads some software. And it tells us, oh, I found two things that need to be installed. So what does that look like to the user? They see a couple things that need to be installed, and they can then they can get more information. What is this Mozilla Firefox? I have never heard of this thing. Right? And if they go, yeah, okay, they can hit update, and then it will install. Now, I didn't cover for this particular demo. We could have set those to just install automatically without notifying the user, but in this case, you wouldn't have seen anything. So we didn't do that for this, and so the user was notified that there were updates, and they could choose when to install it. It's installing. Probably nothing fun to see here. Let's. So Google Chrome is there now. Firefox is there now. It's finishing up slowly. So we're going to throw these away. And then I type it wrong too. So they're gone. And the next time Munki would run, it would notice, hey, those applications are missing, but they're managed installs. The admin has said, no, those must be installed on this machine. So it would notice that, and it would put them back. Yes? The UI does not need, that's entirely the point, yes. The UI, the question is, or the comment was, the UI does not need admin privileges to run. Yes, in order to install, Munki has to run as root. So that's why you have to use sudo. The GUI does not require root because the GUI is not actually doing the installing. The GUI is saying, hey, command line, go do the install, and the command line is running as root.
So my question is that, how do you prevent users from screwing around in that part of it?
I guess I'm not quite sure when you say.
Can you do some access control list to say which users can run the Managed Software Update Center itself?
You want all your users to run the Managed Software Update Center because you're in control of what's being installed on it.
Right.
All they're doing is saying, install now or install later.
We have some less than intelligent users.
Okay.
But they share a machine with the intelligent users. So we just want to be able, so is it just better to just use the access control list in OS 10 to lock the app down?
Well, again, I'm not quite sure why you would not want them to do it, but if you don't have to install that application, and you can set all of your applications to install automatically without bothering the user, and then they would never see the app. And
so you could just not install the Managed Software Center itself then?
Yeah, or
okay.
Yeah, or there's actually preferences where you can basically turn it off so it never gets launched.
Gotcha.
So it's completely opt-in, but there's nothing bad someone could do with that application. It's really a notification that says, hey, there's updates. You can install them now, or you can install them later, but they're going to be installed eventually. You
haven't met accountants before, have you?
I'm sorry?
You haven't met accountants before.
I actually, well, okay. So, how are we doing for time?
I'm sorry.
Okay. So one last thing I want to show quickly. Let's open up manifest, or let's run manifest util again, and we're going to remove those packages. And same thing with Chrome. And now I'm going to re-add them, but I'm going to do it a little bit differently. Because this time I'm going to add them to a different section, the section called optional installs. So these aren't managed, meaning I, the admin, have not decided the user must have these, or the machine must have these installed. Instead, I'm making them available to the user of the machine to choose, if they wish, to install. And again, let's do we have to do site default. So you see, instead of Firefox and Chrome being listed under managed installs, they're listed under optional installs. And again, eventually, this would run in the background, but we're impatient, so we're going to do it now. So it notices some changes here, done. And so there aren't any pending updates now, even though those two apps aren't on the machine. But now in my stuff that's available for them to install, they've got two things. And they can choose, yay, I really like Google Chrome. I can install it for myself, and I feel so empowered. But this way you can make, any particular software available to your users, and you don't have to go around and install it. You don't have to do anything except make it available to them. They can choose. They feel some empowerment. They don't have to wait for IT to get back to them because they go, hey, I need Skype to do my job. If it's available here, they hit one button and they have it. And again, they can do that without having admin rights. So you're making certain applications available to them that they can install for themselves without needing to be made admins of their machines. And that's Munki. Any questions? Assuming we have a little time.
We have time for one question.
Uh-oh.
Hi, Greg. Just a quick question. Do you have a way of broadcasting to your users that updates are available?
When this thing pops up, it's telling them updates are available. So the users get notified about updates by the fact that managed software update popped up.
Can you do a silent push and notify them? So you push
sorry?
it out. Can you push it out software, install it for them, and say, blah, blah has been updated? Silently without using this app.
No. Silent is silent.
Okay.
If you want to send out something, Munki doesn't have anything to do that. I mean, you could send out an email. Hey, we silently updated something for you. Aren't we great?
Okay.
You could do that.
One thing we use a different product. I won't mention the name.
That's all right.
Love the fact that you don't have to continually update each app when new browser comes out. We're like, oh.
Well, because nothing ever gets updated very often, right? So having to push out new versions of software is a very rare occurrence.
Yeah.
And so, having a commercial product that can help you with that, who would need that?
Thank you, Greg.